Want to know one of the great secrets to successful prospecting? It's get out and explore. Now, Chris, you may say, you're looking at this, Chris, explore, duh, but that's, you say that and you think that and get out and explore to find some gold. But a lot of guys don't do much exploration. In fact, a whole lot of guys do almost none. And so they get in a rut. They go to some place, so maybe it's a place even that they had success at in the past. But, you got the gold, and then you go back, and then you go back, and then you go back, and then you go back. And the thing is, except for along some gold-bearing streams, when you have big floods that really move a lot of gold, the gold doesn't grow back. If you only just have a small amount of spring runoff or, a little bit high water, that's not going to move around big gold. That's just going to move a little sand and really not even big rocks. So, guys, you go back to the same place, you go back to the same place, you go back to the same place, and then maybe you find a little bit more, maybe a little bit more, a little bit more, but it's kind of diminishing returns. If you do good, you do good, you do good, not so good, not so good. Pretty soon you're getting almost nothing, or you're getting skunked. And, that's the rut, is guys don't just go back to the same place. I mean, they have good memories maybe of going to that place, when they first went there and had some success. But, after a time, there's diminishing returns. So let me ask you, do you think you're in a rut? Or are you going to the same places over and over again and, trying to scratch out those last crumbs of stuff that you missed in the past? I admit that I've done that in the past, and you have to kind of force myself to get out and try new places and figure out new spots to go. And it's not easy. So let me know in the comments if you think you're in a rut, if you think you need to get out and explore, if even though, the encouragement to get out and explore sounds so obvious as to be, like Chris, duh, it's easy just not to do it. In fact, it's hard to do it. So let me know in the comments. This video, I'm trying to both inspire you and encourage you to get out and really do that exploration. And I'm going to show you some reasons why you really should. And we're going to talk about the techniques and everything else that you need to do and need to know in order to get out and find yourself some good gold spots that you haven't visited before. Another important secret is to challenge yourself. Never really be satisfied unless you make some big strike. If you're going out and you're getting, half a gram or a gram a day, that's okay, but you should be telling yourself, I can do better. I can do better. I can do better. And so challenge yourself and encourage yourself to get out and explore. Let's do a little recap and take a look at some of the exploration I did last year, because it resulted in some nice success, some nice big nuggets, and some really good gold. Now, I had done my home research, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but I'd done my home research and, considered various factors, like, I'd found gold in the general area before, and so, what I learned from the places where I'd found gold in that general area, plus the geology and that sort of thing, plus there are some older workings in that general area, and you put them all together with other factors like, I looked at Google Earth and kind of figured on things, and you put those factors all together, and I made for myself a 3-day plan. I figured out 3 different locations that I wanted to go look for gold. And so on day 1, I went out to one of them and I didn't get any gold. And day 2, I went out to the second one and didn't get any gold. That was when I filmed the video, it was at the end of day 2. So I stuck with it though. I told you guys to be persistent. I was too. I was persistent. I went out there on day 3 and did really well. Day 3 was golden. I found 3 real nice nuggets, including one that was almost 1/4 of an ounce. The total for the 3 nuggets is over 10 grams, which is around 1/3 of an ounce. Now let me show you the gold that I found.
First, here's the 3 nuggets as they came out of the ground. Now, these actually have been washed off or rinsed off, and so there's not loose dirt on them. They just have a lot of iron oxides, and they've never been tumbled around in any stream, and so they look iron stained and rusty. Here's those same nuggets after spending a few days in an iron oxide removal solution. You can see a lot more gold, and a lot of that rust is gone. There's still some, but you notice that they've actually lost almost 1/2 gram of weight by losing all that iron oxides. But still, this was a great start for a new patch. And of course, if you find that much gold in a day, you're going to come back. And this is my take from the whole coming back for a number of trips to just test that area and clean the gold out of it. You see, I got 1.81 ounces, which is pretty darn good. And this is my point. If you're going to find, big nuggets and nice stuff and good totals, you're going to have to get out and explore. That's my whole point. I'm just encouraging you guys that if you really want to make those good finds, you need to look new places and not go to some place that you and 100 other folks have pounded to death and, maybe hope that you'll eke out a few more crumbs.
And here I want to encourage you to do real research. This is the kind of stuff that most guys go, oh, I don't want to do that. It's kind of like school or, homework assignment or some other thing that I don't want to do that anymore. But doing real research is kind of the key to finding new places to go, to getting new ideas. And, my favorites for things to research are old mining district reports where they, like the State Mining Bureau for whatever state we're talking about, or the USGS, the U.S. Geological Survey, or, I like old history books, some, the history of the so-and-so mining district, that's really more focused on history than geology. Sometimes those history books have some great information. And then also just Google searching, you can do, a search, gold districts of so-and-so county, if whatever county you live in or counties nearby you, you can look on that and you'd be surprised what a Google search can come up with. And pretty much everything you find is downloadable, right? And then also not just Google search, but Google Earth, to look at different things. When I come up with an idea to basically explore a new area, I always go on Google Earth and kind of visit it before I ever visit it. So those are all good things. Let's talk about each one of those individually and how you can use them to do real research to find new places for you to go out and explore for nice gold.
This is my first and favorite of all the bulletins and stuff put out by states or by the feds. It's Gold Districts of California, Bulletin 193, published by the state of California. And it lists every gold district in California and talks about it and what was found there and a little bit about the geology and, how successful or whether it was a placer district or a hard rock district or both. And it's an excellent book. I look at it all the time to this day. And, you can buy a paper copy of it like this if you want, no problem off the internet. But if you search around a little bit, you can download a copy for free. So even if you can't afford the book, hey, no problem. You can download a free copy of it. And honestly, everybody who prospects in the state of California ought to have at least a free copy of this because it's information full, worth knowing all of it. Another favorite of mine is this series by Maureen Johnson, Placer Gold Deposits of, this one is Arizona, but she also did Placer Gold Deposits of Nevada, Placer Gold Deposits of New Mexico, Placer Gold Deposits of Utah. So there's 4 of them, and they have different colors. These were originally published as USGS reports, so they've been republished by other people because they're so useful. Here's the Nevada version. Placer Gold Deposits of Nevada has a much different cover, but it's still by Maureen Johnson and written in the same series. And it's been republished by different people. This one's just been republished with a different cover on it, but still it has the same kind of information. Here's the New Mexico one. And like all the books in this series, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah, they're all downloadable for free. And all of them you can buy a paper copy if you want. But if you want to download them for free, you search around on the internet, you'll find there are copies available to be downloaded. And honestly, everyone who prospects in these states, if you're prospecting in Arizona, you should at least have the Arizona one. If you're prospecting in Nevada, you should have the Nevada one, etc. And if you're interested in the state of Alaska, of course, there's a similar one. It's not by Maureen Johnson, it's by Edward Cobb, but it's still the same kind of thing. Of course, this is a big, thick book because all the many districts in Alaska that have gold. But, this kind of information is available and it's reachable through the internet. And if you're going to do any serious research, this is one of the great places to start. Another great place to start is history books in the gold country. This one's about Grass Valley and Nevada City, but there's history books written about different counties and other different mining areas. And, these can be more productive than you might expect, although you have to kind of read through them to find the gems. I was reading a history book a few years ago, not this one, but a different one about the California mother lode country, and it told the story of a shepherd who, when he was out, leading his sheep around, he found an area where he found some really nice quartz shot through with gold, and it was rich, and he searched around there and found a few pieces, but he wasn't able to make a big strike or anything. But he searched around there, and eventually in time he let people know, and but he wouldn't tell people where it was. And the word got to a guy who was a miner, experienced, and actually knew something about geology and stuff. And he offered to pay the guy. He found the shepherd and said, "Hey, look, I'll give you $200 if you show me where this is." And the guy said, "Sure, I'll lead you up there for the money." And he paid the guy. And, in 1870 or 80, when this was, $200 is like the equivalent of several $1,000s today. And so the guy led him up there and showed him, and sure enough, this other guy who was an experienced miner and knew stuff was able to make a big discovery, and eventually there was a mine started in there. But still, I think the discovery area was not where they actually started the mine, and I was able to figure this out. And I've still not been up there. It's not an easy place to get to. And so, but one of these days I'm going to get up there, and I got a great lead, and it was from one of these history books, the story about how this certain mine the original discoveries were made that led to the formation of this mine. And there should be some good gold up there, because even the experienced guy, he didn't have a metal detector in 1880. And so if I go out there with a good metal detector, I should be able to find some nice gold. Another favorite history book of mine is this Nevada Ghost Towns and Mining Camps. It has a little blurb on the discovery and life at the mining camp and what happened there for like hundreds of little mining camps all across the state of Nevada. Some big, of course, like this, Tonopah. Others, not so much, maybe only lasted a month or a year or two. But still, it's a lot of information here, and a lot of information that can help you get ideas as to where you want to prospect.
The weather is warming. Right now I'm doing this. It's still January. And of course the weather is kind of cold. But, the days are getting slightly longer. And pretty soon they'll start getting longer much faster. And the weather will start warming. And I'll be chomping at the bit to get out there and find some gold and get out there and do some exploration. Every year during this time of year, during the winter months, when I really don't do a lot of active prospecting out in the field, this time of year, I'm looking for new places to go. I'm looking for ideas of places that I want to explore. And what you want to do when you come up with an idea, whether you got it off of just a Google search, or you read some old mining district geology report or an old history book or something like that, what you want to do is keep searching. You know, you may have got an idea from one, but then you look for all the other information on that area, that mining district, because every district has its own special quirks and characteristics. And the idea is to put all that together and give you the best idea of where you're going to be successful finding gold. A lot of districts have some geology. I mentioned in a recent video about favorable rock types that, you may look at such and such a district and it turns out all the gold is in such and such a type rock, or all the gold is along this fault, one way or the other, or, all of this gold is formed near the contact of two different rock types. And by understanding that geology, you can start putting stuff together that just clears up the picture of where the gold is going to be. Let's take a look at some examples and dive into, really taking diverse research and putting it together to give you an excellent idea of where you're going to be finding that gold.
Now, I'm going to do a little bit of a case study here for you. We're going to talk about the Randsburg and El Paso mountains. It's a well-known placer and hard rock area in Southern California. And it's a place that's been very productive for metal detectors. And yet there's some vastly different geology around in different places, comparing, say, Randsburg and Stringer area to the south, and versus the El Paso Mountains, Summit Diggings, and the Goler Gulch area. Now, this is an area that produces some big gold. This 156-ounce nugget that's in the picture here is, as far as I know, the largest nugget that's ever been found with a metal detector in California. In fact, it's the largest nugget found with a metal detector, I think, in the USA. And it came from the Stringer area here, south of Randsburg. And there's regularly nuggets, large nuggets being found. We had a 10-ouncer on the cover of our magazine, the magazine I worked for a few years back. Okay, Randsburg, El Paso Mountains. Here's what I did to research this area further. I grabbed my copy of California Bulletin number 193 and read what it said about the Randsburg and El Paso Mountains areas. And there were other old reports listed, and so I went to the library and got some of the old reports and made copies and read them. I made some copies of some old geologic maps, and I downloaded topo maps and aerial photos off the internet. Here's what I found out. I read in an old report there are basically two very different sources for placer gold in this area of the northwestern Mojave Desert. One is placers that are associated with the erosion of lode deposits in an ancient schist associated with granitic intrusions. These are most commonly the type of placers found in the Randsburg and Stringer area. It also is similar to the gold found in the Atolia area even further to the south. The gold in from these places is sharp and angular because it's not traveled far. The geology of these placers are somewhat similar to many placer deposits in Arizona that are also associated with Precambrian ancient schists and granitic intrusions. So a lot of the Mojave County placers and even the Yavapai area is similar geologically to this. The second source, though, in that region is very different. The second type was associated with a conglomerate called the Ricardo Formation. And these placers have been reconcentrated and are found in several places in the El Paso range. The gold is notably smoother and definitely shows signs of travel. According to this old report, wherever the writer examined the modern streams that had cut through this Ricardo sedimentary formation to its base, gold had been found. Well-known significant placers of this type include the ones at Goler Gulch and Last Chance and Bonanza Gulches, as well as Summit Diggings in that area. Here's an area topo map. This is a larger scale topo map, which shows the area, major areas. The area in red in the southeast part of this map is the area around Randsburg and Stringer that's produced gold. The green marked areas in the northern half of the map are the ones associated with this Ricardo Formation, the farthest one to the right being Summit diggings. Now, this is what I found. The area with iron-stained rocks, this iron-stained old, basically this is a Precambrian schist, and the yellow on this map is a quartz monzonite, which is a granitic rock. And you can see that the red part of the area is where placer gold has been found, and also hard rock gold as well. The schist near the mineralization is the most favorable. Now, to the east, there's clay and sandstone. You see the kind of bluish, greenish type of stuff. That is younger rocks that's buried over the gold-bearing schist. And so what's happened there is it's just been covered over, so there's not the surface gold deposits that are worthwhile mining. Now here's a zoom in, higher level of accuracy. You can see Randsburg and Johannesburg on the northern edge of the map, and this Stringer area, which is where that 156 ounce nugget was taken, is this general area. There's other information available. I got this little map from a Kern County report that the California Bureau of Mines did, and it shows a number of areas where they've found gold placers and that sort of thing in the El Paso range. Here's some more maps of the area. There's basically different designations as far as areas where they found gold in the past. The Kern County report that I mentioned has all kinds of information on different mines, both placer and hard rock. And I got just one page here as an example, but there's many, many pages covering all in detail different mines and different places where placer gold was worked. And this kind of stuff is just invaluable as far as doing research for areas to explore and to go out and find gold. Now here's a kind of a zoom in geologic map of the area. It shows the Randsburg schist in the south section of the map. The south would be the southeast. And then in the section to the north, there's the El Paso range, and there's a kind of a light medium brown area that's basically that sedimentary rock that has the gold in the lowest level. And like I say, drainages that cut through that have exposed potential placer gold.
Next, when you're doing research and looking for new places to prospect, it's important to know the claim status. I haven't done a video on claims in a few years, so it's time for me to do that. I'm not going to do it in this video. Actually, the next video that I do, releasing in a week, will be on how to check claim status and that kind of stuff. But it's an important thing. And most mining areas, mines, don't have like a street address like 9034 Johnson Road or something like that. The mines are in the middle of nowhere. They're maybe off some road or maybe up some side of a hill or something like that. And so you have to locate mines using the federal survey, the federal public lands survey system. And we're going to go into that and explain just a little bit about that right now. But it's something you should know at least to have some idea of land ownership. So let's take a brief look at the public land survey system, but we'll really dig in and actually go through the whole survey system and how to determine if land is open to claim or something else. For guys that don't want to dig into this, I recommend that you join a prospecting club. because the prospecting club will have somebody that does that research for you, and it's a great way to get started. You get started with the prospecting club, you can kind of get your feet wet and that kind of thing, and get your chance to look for some gold and get some skills, and then you can move on. You can get more advanced and learn about claims and the public land survey and all that kind of stuff. You can do that at a later date. So I recommend that for the really new guys, but if you're, chomping at the bit to move on to a little bit more advanced kind of a situation, find your own places to go prospect, well, you're going to need to know the public land survey, and I'm going to talk about that right now.
You see, most of the United States, much of the U.S., is broken up into these 6 square mile by 6 square mile, they call them townships, and then each of the 6 square mile by 6 square miles broken up into 1 square mile for a total of 36 square miles in each township. And then, as you can see on the left, each square mile is broken up into quarter square miles, so northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, and those reach 160 acres. And then the quarters are further broken up into quarters, which are 40 acres, and half of a quarter is 20 acres, which is a standard mining claim. But this is the survey that identifies the location of mines. Here is the land in the U.S. that's covered by those surveys, the colored area, all of the colored areas. You can see it's all of the West, including Alaska, pretty much all the Midwest, some of the South, but not Texas and not the East Coast. All of the lands where you could possibly stake a claim are included in this, although not all the areas where the survey is land that you could possibly stake a claim. Here is a rough map that the BLM keeps that shows where mining claims are. And of course, I chose an area that there's mining claims. If the hash marks go one way, it indicates that they're placer claims. If the hash marks go the other way, it indicates that they're lode claims. And if you have them going both ways, then there's both lode claims and placer claims in that area. And you can see with the gray lines, it's divided up into those square areas, and these are the square miles of the townships. And so in order to identify where a mine is, you have to know what township it's in, what section it's in, and if possible, what quarter section that it's in. It's a lot to take in, and like I say, I will do an entire video on this where we will really dig in and get into the details, but that'll be the next video.
Next, I want to talk about actually putting stuff into action. It's one thing to do research. It's one thing to think about it, even look up claim status and that kind of stuff. But it's another thing to actually take the time and get out and do it. A lot of guys, I was certainly in this place. I'm retired now, but, it wasn't that many years ago. And, I had kids at home and, a house to take care of and all kinds of things going on. And so I didn't have that much time every year to go out and do prospecting. So I cherished the time that I did. And so I would make a plan of things I wanted to accomplish. And that's something that, whether you're time strapped because you have family and other commitments, some of which, I'm very pro family. I love my family, but make use of the time you have, get the most out of it. And that's kind of what I'm talking about in this segment is, make a plan, stick to it. Let's look, and I'll talk a little bit about my plan from last year and, stuff that I have a list of things I want to get done. And if I don't get them done in one year, then they go on the list for the next year. So let's take a look and talk a little bit more about plans.
Now, I'm not planning on giving you a list of all the places I plan to go prospecting in 2025. There's a lot of them on the list, but I'm not going to show that to you. But, one of the things that I want to emphasize is how important it is to make plans. It seems like if I don't have something carved in stone on the calendar, other things just fill up the time, and then I can't go out because I've got something I've got to do, a commitment I've made, something else. There's always something. And once I have something set in stone on the calendar, I make lists of all the things that I'm going to need for the trip. So I don't get out in the field and, find, oh, I really wanted to have my whatever, and I don't have it. So, whether the trip is for sluicing and sniping and panning or metal detecting or dry washing, whatever it is, I have various lists, and actually I've made lists in the past, and so I'll take out an old list and say, oh, well, I need this too, and oh, I didn't want to forget that, and that way I'm fully ready to go, and I can make the most of my time out in the field. I take maps too and any other information that I need, maybe even printouts of Google Earth, something like that to help me know where I'm going, and safety equipment. Sometimes I go places where there really is actually a cell phone signal, but a lot of places that I go, there's no cell phone signal. You're in the middle of nowhere. And so I actually have an emergency call device that is a satellite access thing so that if something tragic happens, I can call for help. So the whole thing is to make it on your calendar and be totally prepared so you can get the most out of the time that you have in the field.
And next, I want to talk a little bit about perseverance and hanging in there, because I want to tell you a truth. You're going to do research. If you're going to do that, I go out and do it. I have a long decades experience of prospecting. I have a lot of geology experience. I know what I'm doing. And still for me, most, new ideas that I have, hey, let's go check out this place. Most of the time it doesn't pan out. And that's just the hard part of things, is that most of the time I'll get there and maybe I find things aren't as they were described, or there's nothing left to find. I'll look and look and look, and there's just nothing there to find. And that happens. You're gonna. It's part of the reason that guys get in the rut that we talked about at the beginning of this video, is they try, maybe they were in a rut. They realize they're in a rut. They do some research. They make a plan. They get out there and try it, and it just doesn't do well. You don't find any gold, or you find virtually no gold, and so they get discouraged. And maybe they try it again and it still doesn't work out. Then they get really discouraged, and so they go back to the place that they were at before and go back to eking out crumbs and hoping that they find some little thing, and they get in that rut. Does that ever happen to you? Is that the rut experience, that aspect of it, something that you've been involved in the past? I'll admit that it's happened to me too. It's easy to get discouraged when you're looking at new places and you really don't know where the gold's going to be, or you're not 100% sure. It's difficult. And that's why this little part of the thing is I'm talking about perseverance and hanging in there. Exploration is difficult. It's not easy. Even if you know what you're doing, you try plan A, maybe plan A doesn't work out. Try plan B, maybe plan B doesn't work out. You try plan C, maybe plan C doesn't work out. Well, you gotta not just give up. That's the thing, is if you're gonna be successful, you gotta get out there and do the thing. And the truth is, you'll get out there and eventually you'll hit it. And my plans, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but when I made my plan last year, one of the places that I wanted to go, I had a 3-day trip planned, and I went out the first day and I didn't find anything but trash. Second day, I went out and explored a different area, and I didn't find anything but trash. The third day, I went out and I found some trash, and then I hit a 6-gram nugget. And then I hit a 4-gram nugget. And then I hit a 1-gram nugget. I got more than 10 grams in a day. That was pretty darn good. And that was the beginning of my new patch that I discovered. And, I really did well. And so in this segment, I want to go into showing you what can be done if you really do get out there and explore, and if you persevere, and if you hang in there. The truth is, this perseverance, hanging in there thing is a big deal with prospecting. Way too many guys, they look at prospecting and think, yeah, I can go out and find my own gold. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. that's really interesting. And then they go out and try it and they don't do that well and they have high expectations and they get discouraged and it's like, okay, I'm done. And, or they buy a metal detector and they go a couple times they go out and I didn't find anything but, bits of rusty tin and nails and other junk. Oh, we'll just throw my metal detector in the closet and it can spend the next 10 years there. Well, an old friend who's gone now said a metal detector sitting in a closet gathers only dust. And it's a very true saying. So many guys get discouraged and give up before they get the skills of doing the prospecting and exploration and other work. So let me show you some things to inspire you and show you what other people have found. And so you can tell yourself, oh, well, if I strike out this time, I'm going to keep going. If I strike out the next time, I'm going to keep going. And that's the whole secret of prospecting, is you get out and you find stuff and you have success, but it's in the long run. If you expect instant success, you're going to be disappointed. So let's take a look at some things to inspire you.
Now, I've shown you this already, but I got onto a new patch this year, and, by poking around, I got 1.8 ounces, and I'm sure I'll be getting more gold out of this patch in 2025. A few years back, a guy I know was prospecting on a historic mining property that he owned and hit into a really big pocket of some spectacular gold quartz. And he actually etched the quartz off and was left with these beautiful pieces of mossy gold. A few years back, I was exploring a new place and I stumbled onto a patch of really nice nuggets. And this is just the coarser pieces, but I got 3.5 ounces of coarser pieces and then some good amount of fines in addition to this. At another spot that I decided to explore a few years back, I got into a nice patch of smaller nuggets, and you can see the nuggets I detected are on the right, and I realized there were smaller and smaller pieces there, so I thought, I got to dry wash this. And I dry washed it and got the gold you see on the left. And together, this is close to 3/4 of an ounce. I know some guys who got onto a spectacular patch of chevron gold in northern Nevada, and they got way more gold than this. In fact, the day I was with them, they got more than an ounce. But this is just what they wanted me to show me how they were getting some real beautiful chevron gold. Another time when I was out exploring, I got onto a nice nugget patch and got these out. And this is, almost 3 ounces of gold. And the one that you see on the left that looks like a rock, it's like a little vein with all gold down the middle, almost like a golden Oreo. But I hope this has convinced you that, if you're going to make big finds, you're going to have to get out and explore new areas. That exploring new areas really is the key, one of the big keys to making really good finds when you're out prospecting for gold.
Okay, so whatever exploration you're doing, whatever area you're working in, whatever kind of thing that you're going after, whether you're wanting to sluice in a river or pan, metal detect, dry wash, high bank, whatever it is you're looking at, hard rock, whatever it is you're looking at, it's a matter of skill. The more you know, the more likely you are to succeed. And so in order to impart that skill to you, to give you a head start, I wrote a book to incorporate my decades of prospecting plus my degree in mine engineering. And I want to give you a head start, and I call my book Fistful of Gold because I want you to go out and find some fistful of gold for yourself. So let me tell you a little bit more about my book, and I'll talk about that right now. This is my book, Fistful of Gold. It's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know to go out and find gold for yourself. It distills down my 45 years of experience out in the field prospecting, as well as my degree in mine engineering. It's, like I say, an encyclopedia. There's a lot to it. It's over 250,000 words long, hundreds of pages with hundreds of illustrations, teaching you what you need to know about geology, about mining districts, about techniques of finding gold. It covers metal detectors, sluicing, panning, dry washing, high bankers, you name it, it's covered in there. It talks some about platinum and diamonds, but it's mostly about gold because gold is more widespread. It is not so much a book about where to find gold, but a book about how to find gold. Because even if you have a location where gold was mined in the past and you go out there, well, where should you look to be successful in your prospecting, to find the gold that's there? This is the book that's going to tell you that information. I spent most of 10 years writing this book, so I thought a long time about it. It's got, like I say, lots of information and lots of illustrations, and I've had results from people who bought it. It's available on Amazon, but I recommend buying it through High Plains Prospectors, and I'll put a link in the description for buying this book through them. They have a better price than Amazon, and I have a special deal that I'll tell you a little bit more about, where you can get a 5% discount from the price even with that. On Amazon, the book rates a 4.7 out of 5, which means that of all the people that have bought it, they've been really highly satisfied, and I think you, if you buy my book, will be just as highly satisfied as well. Now let's talk a little bit more about High Plains Prospectors. They're a prospecting shop, a mail order prospecting shop that I've partnered with. The deal is that I can get you a 5% discount, a coupon code, and I'm going to put the code to that right here. It's just Chris Ralph, all caps with no space between Chris and Ralph. You put that in there as a discount code and you'll get 5% off their already really good prices. I think it's a great deal where you win by getting a discount, I get a little percentage of that, and they get new business. So if you need prospecting supplies, High Plains is really the way to go. And I'll put information, like I say, in the description more about how you can work with them, because I'm working with them. They really are great guys, a great company. For even more information, I also have a website, and I'm going to show you my webpage and talk a little bit more about that right now.
This is my webpage. It's located at nevadaoutbackgems.com. You can Google it, or I have a link down in the description below. But there's lots of information here, miscellaneous stuff, pictures, some historic information as well, stories. It's got a lot of great fun stuff. You'll probably be interested in it.
Now, on all of my YouTube videos, I encourage you guys to ask questions. If you have thoughts, comments, suggestions for things that I ought to look at in my videos, things that you want to find out more about, and I answer 100% of my questions. There's not very many YouTubers out there that answer 100% of their questions. I'm one of the few. And so I will do my best to answer what you have. I mean, I only can write so much. Sometimes the answer is something where I'm going to recommend that you buy the book and read about it. I also ask that you subscribe to my channel, click the bell notification so that every time I come out with a new video, you'll be able to watch it. And like I say, I cover a huge amount of topics. I also have 250 videos that I've already done. And so you can go back through my catalog of videos on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be many videos there that you'll want to take a look at, especially if you have any interest in gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, geology, and that sort of stuff. My YouTube site is going to be right up your alley. So I'll see you again real soon. We'll be out in the field and back in the office at the whiteboard, and whether we're looking at gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, or other interesting geology, it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it, and we'll see you again real soon.